everyone, and welcome to the For Fun of Knit podcast. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Linda, and I'm coming to you from South Surrey, just 45 minutes outside of Vancouver, the city of Vancouver in British Columbia, Canada. For those of you who know me and have been following me for a while, thank you for your patience. I know it has been quite a while since I podcasted. I'm thinking about 6 weeks or so. This has been a very crazy time, and I definitely have lots of news to share with you, both on the knitting side and on the personal chatter side. So the chatter part I will leave to the end. There's, like I said, quite a bit to go over, including a public service announcement, some fun things, some future things. So if you're interested in the life chatter, then stick around to the end. But for those of you that are just here for the knitting, I, in the last 6 weeks, have been knitting. Yes, I have been making. Not as much as I would have liked, and probably not as much as I needed to from a life balance perspective, but I have made some progress on my whips, and I do have 2 finished objects to share with you. So I definitely want to go over those with you. But before I do, I just want to say a big thank you to all of you who have been following me for quite a while, and for all the wonderful comments I get on each and every one of my podcasts. I love the comments. I love reading them. I'm not as diligent in responding to all of them as in terms of speed. I do eventually respond to them all, or most of them anyway. But I'm not necessarily the most timely person, because sometimes there's a lot of comments and I love it. So thank you so much for that. Without further ado, let's get into the knitting. And like I said, lots of life chatter afterwards. But let's start with the 2 finished objects that I have. One is with me, one is not. Now, the first finished object that I have are my NJORD socks from Nancy Wheeler. These are a fabulous, these are fabulous socks, but this is a fabulous pattern. It comes in 2, I think you get both for the one price, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But it comes in a DK. The original pattern came in a DK, and then it has now since come out in a fingering weight as well. For those of you that know me or have been following me for a while, you will recognize my love of DK socks this year. There are 3 very good reasons for my love of DK socks. One, I was really looking for, certainly at the beginning part of the year, I was looking for a nice wintry kind of sock to go into my boots. I was looking to have a knit that was easy, hence the DK. And I wanted to have something that could double both as a house sock and a boot sock. So hence my love of DK. But honestly, probably the biggest draw to the DK weight sock is how fast they knit up. And where I am in my life right now, I need some quick wins. I benefit from quick wins, and so I'm looking for them, and making a really nice pair of socks always fits that bill. Now, this is Nancy Wheeler's NJORD pattern, and this is a little bit of a mashup. It's actually, I followed the cuff instructions from Summer Lee's Cider House socks, and I really like that tennis sock look with the 2 stripes and the 1x1 rib. And I've used that on a few socks, and I've got another socks in the whips that you'll see that as well. But the yarn for the cream is Nomad Yarns, which is sort of a wholesaler of undyed yarn, so you can dye yarn yourself, in just their 80/20 sock base called Votive, held double, and then the actual green, mossy green, it's kind of a grungy green, was Black Cat Custom Yarns, and it's a one-off colorway. It was kind of, they had a sale at one point where they had 5 skeins of mistakes. So random skeins, if you wanted to sign up, you got them at a really reasonable price. And again, they were one-offs that had not worked out properly, I guess. But I love them. You can't really see it in this light because the light is fading fast, but they're sort of a grungy green with a little bit of grayish, beigeish sort of stripes going through it. Now, this sock pattern, I'm going to make these 10 times over because I absolutely love the actual pattern that Nancy came up with. Let's just see if I can rotate it so that you can... That is the center that goes up your foot. This beautiful pattern, I hope you can see that. It's just a very simple, no cable needle kind of cable with some knits and some purls. And then nicely on the back of your calf, she's given you some detail on the back as well. It is a cuff down sock with a heel flap and gusset. And while toe-up socks are still my favorite, I just find it easier to judge how much yarn I have. And so I can adjust the length of the leg when I'm doing them toe-up. Can't do them when they're cuff down. However, what I have decided is I am now converting to the heel flap and gusset as a heel that fits me very well. What I do, however, because I do have quite a thick or rounded heel, I guess, I take 4 stitches, 2 on either side, from my front needle, or needle number 1 if you're doing magic loop, and I shift those to the back needle, and so I'm doing 4 extra stitches when I am doing my heel flap, and then I do my heel turn, and then I put the stitches back where they belong. And then I start my decreases as per usual. And that works out perfect. I get enough space in the arch for my foot, and I don't have to do too much math. So wonderful, and it has a nice rounded toe. And these are, I think these are it's a great pattern. I love the yarn, so the whole thing works for me. So that was finished object number 1. And these sock blockers I got a couple of years ago from Knitography, Patricia of Knitography. She lives in Norway. Don't know if she's still selling them or not, but these are my beautiful socks, my beautiful winter woolly socks, and my sock blockers. Now, I did do another pair of socks because yes, socks have been hitting the right stride for me, and certainly DK socks. Now these socks, this is the yarn that I used. I used, again, the Nomad Votive 80/20 for the cuffs of the socks. I'm going to show a picture up here. I made house socks for my sister in Virginia for class, Clasina. And so I held this double with mohair. I wanted them to be floofy and warm and cozy, and she loves pink. So what better thing to do? So the cuffs were done in this yarn with mohair, cream mohair called Cloud, knitting for Olive. I think it's called Cloud. No, Snow, pardon me, Snow. And then I had this yarn, which is I do believe it's a Madeline Tosh merino single. Now, who would have thought that a merino single would be a good option for making socks? Not me. I don't think it's a good option, but I did hold it double with a strand of this beautiful Surrey alpaca in the colorway Tickled Pink that was done by Amanda of Sweet Skein of Mine. So I made some beautiful vanilla 3x1 rib toe-up socks for my sister. And like I said, there's a picture here with they're on her feet. She's lying in bed. They're on her feet. And I will definitely update you on that story and that visit to Virginia in the chatter section. So those were my only 2 finished objects in the last 6 weeks. let's talk about whips. Okay. So this, I'm going to call it a whip because I started this earlier on. You know about it. This is my swatch. Oops, got it backwards. This is my swatch for the sketchbook sweater by Ficolana, which I'll put a picture up here. And I was unsure of which yarns to use, and I didn't know about the weight. It turns out what I'm using is exactly what I had imagined in terms of weight of this sweater and color. I have a pink thing going on. Yes, I do. I've decided pink is a neutral. So it's funny. 5 years ago, I would have sworn I was the earth tone girl in terms of loving earth tone colors, such as the greens and the browns and, the mustard yellows and the cinnamon colors, which I still do. I still love those. However, I am gravitating in a big way in my wardrobe to the neutral pink. So these yarns are a combination of Holst, what's it called? Holstgarn, Titicaca in the color nude, and Drops Kid Silk, which is a silk mohair, in the color number 4, which is pink. And the two of them together create this beautiful, beautiful color. It's it's deeper than a blush pink, but not as bright as that pink. This particular pattern, I don't have the brain space for it now. It's 100% lace. And I know on my swatch, this section of lace was done properly and this section of lace was done properly, but the center section I've already in my swatch messed up. So I do mark off the lace patterns with stitch markers so that I can keep them all in a row, but I can look at this and I know, you can't see it, but I know that it's wrong. The other challenge that I'm having is I am having troubles keeping the yarn overs the same size. When I approach a stitch and do a yarn over, so I knit a stitch, do a yarn over, knit two together, yarn over, and continue on, my yarn over before the stitch is always nice and tight. And my yarn over my yarn over before the stitch is always loose, and the yarn over after the knit two together is always tight. And I haven't figured out how to get them the same size. I've been looking at Patty Lyons and all sorts of things, but nothing seems to be working. Needless to say, that's as far as I got on the sketchbook, and it is a work in progress, even though I haven't cast on yet. It is foremost on my mind as soon as my brain has some capacity to knit something a little bit more intricate or exciting than stockinette. That's the one that I'm going to be going for. A little bit more suited to where I am at the moment is this beautiful sweater. And what? I should have mentioned that my sketchbook is being held in my Happy Easter Gnome project bag by the Woolen Frog, and I love this bag. It's got pockets in it, and I love the purple on the inside and the gnomes on the outside. Carol does such a great job. So back to my next work in progress is something that had just enough challenge to make it interesting, but predominantly stockinette, and that is the MISSONI Accomplished by Espace Tricot. Now, this was originally designed by Melissa, one of the original owners of Espace Tricot. And this, oh, I love it. Just take a look at this. I am just about to start the ribbing in a sense, but let me tell you a little bit about this sweater. So, I really like that I decided to take the time to cast on and knit one round of the neckline with the contrasting color. So let's talk colors first. So the yarn that I am using is Celtic Cashmere from Fleece and Harmony. And that's what it looks like. So it's Celtic Cashmere from Fleece and Harmony. And this is the color Oyster. And this is the color Crow. Now, interestingly enough, I bought these online, so I didn't actually see them in person. Crow is exactly that, black, but crows aren't 100% black. It is black and brown, which I did not pick up on online. Combine that with Oyster, which is a cool gray with blue, little bits of blue. So would I have put black and brown and gray and blue together? Probably not had I seen them, but I'm going with it and I love it. And so far it seems to be working. I don't know if you can see in this light, you might be able to see a little bit of striping. Well, that's not really striping, that's the brown all the way through the black. And I have been doing helical knitting because one of my skeins is a little bit less brown than the others, but it is turning out to be lovely. And I'm hoping that when I wear it in the bright sunshine that you're not gonna see that, I'm hoping that the tones don't clash. Let's put it that way. So that is issue number 1. Issue number 2, oh, before I get off the yarn, I do want to just share that this yarn, super soft, super luxurious. You can only get this once a year, and not even every year, but once a year they have a special run or shearing of their sheep that have this yarn, and they mix it with some cashmere. And so you have to pre-order it. And so diarize it for yourself in January if you're interested. I would even diarize it starting end of December because I missed it this year, unfortunately. And I get their newsletter and everything and I still missed it. What can I tell you? But it is super soft. It is super bouncy and round. It is thick and thin. I don't know if you can see that it is thick and thin. Can you see that? And it looks pretty even there, but there are parts. Maybe this will be a little, maybe there you can see it runs thick and thin. There, that's a good example of it. And it's 2-ply. So it's lovely in the hands. It's lovely to knit. The dye does not come off on my hands at all, which is amazing. However, it is soft, still a little bit toothy, but super soft, but it doesn't stick together like a non-superwash wool would. This is non-superwash, but it just doesn't stick together. And I know that because, as with all my projects, I have to undo my projects at some point, which I had to do with this sweater. And so I rip the needles out and I start pulling it, unraveling it, thinking the stitches will stick together because this is not superwash. They don't stick together. They slip around like crazy. So it was quite the effort to put them back on the needles. Why? 1, because I lack patience, but 2, because I'm using Dark Knitter's Pride needles. What was I thinking? Dark yarn, dark needles. Not a good match. Don't do that. Learn from my mistakes. The last thing I want to say is I'm having to do a little bit of creative management, color management, because I only have this much left of the Crow. I have a full skein of the Oyster, but only that much left of the Crow. Now in the pattern, you're supposed to knit to about here and then start the 3 inches of ribbing. You're supposed to knit to about, so that this section and this section would have been the same. So literally you would have had to knit to here and then do 2 inches of ribbing. Well, I like 3 inches of ribbing, number 1. 2, I don't have a lot of yarn. So the ribbing was going to take up a lot of yarn as well. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm not going to have enough. I did partial sleeves because I always like to get the sleeves started. But the sleeves require another band of black, then another gray, then more black in the cuff. I don't have enough Crow for that. So I had already gotten well into my ribbing, realized that this was not going to work, ripped it all out, hence losing stitches everywhere, re-knit to the same width. So this is the same amount of inches in black. This is the same. This has to be the same. So now it is. And now I'm going to start the color work again, starting with the gray. And I'm going to do just the points, just to where you start doing all of the gray. And then I'm just going to continue in the gray and do the ribbing in the oyster. Okay? So then when I get to the sleeves, I hope I have enough black to do another section of black and then the stripe. And if I don't have enough black to continue on, I will just start the stripe exactly like the hem and then just continue in the oyster and finally finish the ribbing in the oyster as well. So it's going to be a little bit different, but I am loving this. It is predominantly stockinette. This color work is very, very easy to do. It's very intuitive. You don't even need a pattern. You just need to start the first row and then you can figure it out. It's lovely. It's lovely. It is a winter knit and it's May. So my timing is a bit off. So that is whip number 2. Whip number 3 that I want to share is just some progress on my diamond baby blanket. Now this is a Christmas blanket, and the last time I showed it to you, I think I showed it to you the other way, I was on this square. So I had finished the bottom 2 rows, but I finished 1 row and then to this square. Since I podcasted last, I have done all of the 2nd row, started the 3rd row, and only have 2 more squares of the 3rd row. This is such a therapeutic knit because when you have no time or no mental space to do anything, at least you can finish 1 square. So you feel like you've done something, some sort of progress. And not only that, the colors make me so happy. So this, I laugh because I put everything in my journal. So I've got a knitting journal where I have written all my projects, and see I have all samples of my yarns in my book, and I'm just keeping track, not daily, but when I do knit on it, if I do a couple squares, then I'll knit on it, and it goes into my knitting journal. Eventually it will go on to Ravelry, but for now I find just handwriting to be enough. And this is all my Christmas yarns. It was inspired by my collection from Ruby and Roses, the 2023 Christmas collection. See, that one's one of my favorites. It's Marketplace. It's just a lovely, lovely color, very deep. This one is called Window Shopping. Do I remember any of the other ones? This one is called, Mistletoe Mixer. She has some wonderful names. But then I also combined it with a lot of the Christmas yarns that I already had. And these are all merino cashmere nylon fingering weight, sport weight yarns. So that is where I'm at. Now I would say, I should add that the actual pattern itself is exactly, the squares are this size, but they have 12 rows of your border color and a very small square then of your chosen color inside the square. I wanted my Christmas yarns to really stand out, so I opted just to do 7 rows of the border, actually 6 rows of the border, not including the cast on, and then have the rest of it be the color. And so it's more dramatic. It's more dramatic, but it makes me very happy. So you've seen this one before. No rush on this project. It's going to take me forever to knit it. The last work in progress, and I have a couple more works in progress, but I'm not going to cover them off today. So I have not made a lot of progress on these. I think I showed these to you the last time I was podcasting with my mom. And I haven't made a ton of progress, but I've made a little bit of progress. These are my Cider House socks from Summerly Knits. And I Love them. I love the combination of the mottled light and dark gray and the hot pink. I love the cables. You can see the cable a little bit more in the sock that doesn't have as much dye in the yarn. Now this is the challenge. I am doing magic loop. I'm doing these socks concurrently. So they're not two at the same time. They're not two at a time, but they're concurrent. So I knit a little bit on this one, and then I go and I switch and I knit a little on this one. And I'm using both the middle and the outside of the skein. This is also a Black Cat custom yarn. It came in that bucket of 5 or basket of 5 that I bought that were boo-boos. And I think it was a boo-boo because of the difference in the dye lot. Like the skein wasn't evenly dyed all the way through. I still love it. I don't care. I think they're beautiful. But I would say this particular pattern is a very easy pattern repeat to follow. But because it's cabling back and forth, you don't need a cable needle for this. But it's just a little bit more involved than stockinette, go figure. And so it's just taking me, I'm only maybe doing a couple rows here and there or trying to do one repeat every week or something. They're not a priority, but having socks on the go is always a good recipe for me. So let's talk about what is next on my needles. Can you see this here? This is my own dyed bubblegum pink yarn. This is again the votive 80-20 base from Nomad Yarns. So that starts with a K. I'll put a link below. So if you ever want to try your own dyeing, you can. So this is one of the colorways that it's a very tonal pink, and it goes everything from white to light pink. And every year, my friends and I for the last 2 years have gone to Flock. So we went the first year, we went last year, and my team of peeps are going again this year. I won't be able to make it. I'm really, really upset about that. I'm suffering from serious FOMO. And we always knit a sweater or a shawl or both as our sort of group outfit. And so we are still knitting the CERCIS tee. I'm trying to remember, by Amilie Designs. And I'll put a picture up here. So we are knitting that, and the only thing I would say is I am going to knit the sleeves just a little bit shorter, but half the length of what the photo has. But I love the lace. I love the fact that it's stockinette, and the lace is just on either the arm or just under the panel underneath the arms. And so I think that's just enough lace to be interesting, but not overwhelming. We're also doing the So Soft shawl by Vera Valamaki. I haven't chosen my yarns for that yet, but it requires 3 different colors. You need about 300 to 375 yards per color. And what we've all decided to do is choose 2 colors plus 1 to tie, plus your main sweater color. So it ties somehow into the sweater, because we want to wear them together. Now I will be making it, but I won't be wearing it at Flock. But I will be making it. So I'm looking so forward to that. The third make that right now we're sort of banding about is called the Unpredictable Shawl. And this is a stitch sampler shawl by Biscotte Yarns, I do believe. And Jacquie had the brilliant idea of, because it was a stitch sampler shawl and it's in a triangle shape, or maybe it might be asymmetrical, I can't remember, but making it a Christmas shawl. So if we start it now, we should be able to finish it by Christmas and everybody would have a festive shawl. So I jumped on that bandwagon. That didn't take a lot of effort on my part. So we definitely went for that. What else can I tell you? I think that is all for my knitting. That is all for my knitting. And I'll have to check my notes. Yeah, I think that's, oh, those were the things that are next on my needles. Let me tell you about two items that I frogged. My Edgar slipover vest. If you remember from my last podcast with my mum, I think it was the last one with my mum, I was wearing a half-made Edgar slipover vest in a deeper rosy pink and silver bling and a little bit of mohair. I don't know what I did to that slipover, but one, the shoulders were too narrow. I kind of was worried about that in the last podcast, but then it's got really deep set arms. I should probably tell you about what I'm wearing. Deep set arms. And then it said knit 10 inches before you start the ribbing. And somehow it was all the wrong shape and way too long. So I tried to pull it out. That was a gong show. So I had mohair, I had silver bling thread with sequins on it, and the bamboo yarn. Trying to pull those three out, it wasn't possible. I even tried cutting off the ribbing and then trying it when it was just stockinette. I couldn't undo any of it. So I ended up throwing it away. I know. That is really painful for me to even say that I did that, but I did. I threw it away. I couldn't salvage any of it. There was no point in gifting it because I hacked it all up. So I am going to make it again because it wasn't the pattern's fault. It was something that I personally did or didn't pay attention to. I don't know what I did, but I'm going to try it again. Not with those three yarns. I'm going to make it a little bit easier on myself. We'll have to see. So that was one that I frogged. The other one that I frogged, and I frogged it top to bottom, it was already finished, was my Felix, my hot pink Felix pullover. You might have seen that, I don't know, early in January or maybe last fall. I can't remember when I finished it. My Felix, my hot pink Felix, I unraveled the whole thing. I did not like the way it fit. I made it way too large. That the sleeves only started almost at my elbows. You know, it's a yoke, it's a circular yoke sweater. And then it was going to be way too wide. So I tried bringing it in by decreasing, you know, at the waist. The shape was all wrong. I knew I would never wear it, but I love the yarn so much that I just pulled it all out, rolled it all up, and it's sitting in timeout for the time being. So that was my unknitting of my knitting. And that concludes the knitting portion of this video. Before I get into that, for those of you that are here for the knitting and you're going to sign off now, thank you so much. No harm, no foul. I hope you enjoyed the limited knitting content. And if you have any questions, because I didn't delve into any of the projects too deeply, if you have any questions, just send me a comment, either DM me on Instagram or email me or put a comment below this video and I will absolutely respond. But for those of you, so if you're leaving now, thank you very much. I appreciate that you spent this time with me. If you're staying on to the chatter, okay, here we go. So, yeah, I made house socks for my sister. And the reason that happened, and this is really my sister's story to tell, but I am doing the public service announcement portion of this story. So, just to cut to the chase, between Christmas and New Year's, my sister was diagnosed with breast cancer. And which was quite surprising because she had had recent mammograms. They saw some minor, inconsequential calcifications, I guess they call them. And that's, I don't know if that's normal or not, but to them it seemed normal. And so she was quite surprised to feel a lump in her breast in late December. And so she wasn't diagnosed, but she felt a lump. And so she made an appointment. The earliest appointment they could fit her in was, I think, mid-January. So number one, if you're not getting fast enough results, because she had recently had a mammogram. So within the last 6 months, 6 months previous, she'd had a mammogram, and all of a sudden now she feels a lump. So that was kind of concerning. So point number 1 is be a squeaky wheel. Be a squeaky wheel for your own health. If they're saying the first appointment isn't until mid-January, tell them you'll take the first cancellation available, and then you must phone them every day, because they will not phone you at the first cancellation. If they remember to phone you, or if you're on the list, then eventually they'll get to you, but it might get filmed by somebody else. So it's your best bet to phone every single day to see if there's a cancellation. And sure enough, there was a cancellation. And so my sister was able to get in between Christmas and New Year's. From that, the doctor ordered, because her mammogram only showed very small calcifications, the doctor ordered an ultrasound. So a couple of weeks after that, she went in for an ultrasound. They found 3 tumors. So point number 2, calcifications, regardless of how minor, demand an ultrasound, because the mammogram did not pick up the tumors. Apparently, the tumors were there prior to her mammogram, but the mammogram didn't pick them up, but the ultrasound did. So that's point number 2. Public service announcement message number 2. Demand an ultrasound if there's any teeny microscopic calcifications. And obviously, mammograms are not the be-all, end-all. My sister was diagnosed with a type of cancer. This is her story to tell, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. But some lymph nodes needed to be removed. And so if you have any lymphatic issues or lymphatic drainage, like your legs swell, or you just don't have strong veins to push the blood fluid through your body that well, if you're susceptible to that, there is such a thing called lymphatic reconstruction. So if they take lymph nodes, one of the side effects, if they take lymph nodes, is that your arm could permanently swell. Yay, they tell you all the side effects of surgery. They tell you all the side effects. So that was one of the side effects. Well, do your own research, because through research, Classy and I were able to find out about this lymphatic reconstruction. So if she were to have a lymph issue, a lymphatic system issue, and her right arm would have swollen, she could have had lymphatic reconstruction. So we knew about it because we read about it, but the doctors hadn't considered that. And so that was a question that she raised for them. Turned out she didn't need it, thank goodness. But point number 3, public service announcement part 3, is do your own research. Make sure you are your own advocate. And the last thing I would say about that is my sister had to have very significant surgery, and I'll leave it at that. I went out to stay with her and help her and her husband for 2 weeks. Hence, I made her bed socks, which I hope she still, you better be wearing them. I think she is. So much information comes at you during any kind of medical crisis that sometimes you make decisions or think you have the right solution for yourself. But as time passes and you learn more and you learn more and you learn more, sometimes your choices might change over time. So if there are decisions to be made, public service announcement number 4, if you need to make decisions, you make a decision, but you still have time to consider options or do more research, do that. Do more research. Don't just be satisfied with what you originally decided. Do more research, because your thoughts might change with additional information. Now, if you don't have time and it's not that type of a situation where it's more critical and you have to make a decision right away, well, that doesn't apply. But in this particular case, my sister has a lot of decisions to make, and so the decision process is morphing over time because we're getting more information, new research, new procedures. We're talking reconstruction here. So that's all good. She has the time, which is wonderful. So that was my only point, is don't be surprised, is if you feel like you want to make a change in a decision, make that change in your decision. Just have that conversation with your doctor. Make sure you're as informed as you can be. And just because you made a decision last week doesn't mean you have to stick to it. You can change your mind. You are your own best advocate. So my sister right now is doing fine. So that's the most important part. Her journey's not over, but she's doing fine. And I wish I could have stayed longer. I wish I could have helped out more, but that wasn't possible. So at the same time, we put our house up for sale. Again, for those of you that have been around for a while, you might remember that last year, in probably same time as now, actually, we put our house up for sale, but the market totally changed. So we pulled it off after 6 weeks because we read the writing on the wall and it wasn't going to happen. So this year we put our house up, got a fabulous realtor. Oh my God, she was amazing. Fabulous realtor. And we put our house up in January and it sold and we're moving. So all my yarn is in plastic. It is all in plastic. You can't see everything. I'll do a little bit of a video. You can see the mess. But we literally have to be out towards the end of May, and we're downsizing. So we're going to stay with my mom for the month of June and then move on from there. But that, just going through, we decluttered last year. Oh my goodness, we decluttered. But decluttering is not a one and done. It is a constant thing. And then as you get closer to the timeline and you see how much stuff you have, your decisions get more and more brutal. I'm not that sentimental about that dish. I thought I was, but you know what? Actually, I have 3 dishes that look kind of similar to that. Or, maybe my sister would want it because it's a family heirloom, but honestly, doesn't have a place in my stuff. So that's going through the declutter. Then we, where we're going to is going to be much smaller, and so the furniture doesn't fit. We got really big furniture because we have very big rooms. We're not going to have big rooms going forward. So we basically gave away or sold on Marketplace a third of our life. That's what it felt like. And for pennies on the dollar. Pennies on the dollar. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stuff. Nobody wants anything regardless of how good a condition it's in. Folks do not want secondhand furniture. So, note to Linda, I'm not, unless it's, like a mattress, something for hygiene, we might buy a sofa brand new, but that would be about it. After that, I'm going to thrift everything. I am on a mission to repurpose, thrift, reclaim, refinish, whatever it is. Because if you buy something at a regular retail price and you walk it out the door, it's worse than a car. It depreciates immediately and nobody wants it because you owned it. So that was kind of like a big aha. But some fun things. As we went through all of our drawers and every nook and cranny, you'd be surprised where you store stuff. I had coins in my coffee cups. I had coins in my desk drawers. I had it in my filing cabinets. I had coins in my project bags. I had coins in purses that were in storage. I had coins everywhere. So many coins. I had probably about $50 worth of coins and $9.50 in pennies. Not only that, we found gift cards everywhere. Same idea, in jacket pockets, in old wallets, in, used as bookmarkers in books. We ended up finding $28 worth of Tim Hortons cards, 7 different Tim Hortons cards, one dating back to 2006. $11 in Starbucks cards, one dating back to 2011. A $50 gift certificate card to Sammy J. Pepper's. It's a chain here. I don't know how popular it is, but that Patrick received at work for a thank you for something. So that goes pre-2013. And then I found 2 Marshall's gift cards. I'd obviously done returns without the receipt at one point, and they put money on a gift card. I don't remember doing it. I had $49 worth on 2 cards. So that was a big payday. It was going treasure hunting in your own house. So what other things can I tell you? Let's see. I'm looking. Oh, my friend Jacquie. Hi, Jacquie. If you all remember, in January, we did our sweater parade where we modeled our sweaters, and Jacquie was one of our guests. And then Jacquie and I did a podcast together just a couple weeks back. Oh, maybe that was my last podcast. I forgot about that one. Yes, yeah, we did I don't know if that's a month ago, maybe? No, it's more than a month ago. Oh, I don't even remember, Jacquie. Anyway, since that time, Jacquie has launched her own podcast called THINKnits. You have to check it out. I will put the description down below. But new podcast, episode 1, THINKnits, is up and ready and waiting for you to take a look at it. So that was a lot of fun to watch that sort of evolve. Other fun things, Patrick and I celebrated 20 years of marriage. We've been together longer than that, but we've been married for 20 years. And I don't know if I shared this story or not, but we got married in 2005 in Mexico, and they forgot to file our paperwork. So when we were looking into immigrating to Spain, which we didn't do, but when we were looking at it in 2017, the consular in Toronto wrote back to us and said, well, you actually can't go on this visa because you're not married. And we're like, what? Of course we're married. Apparently we didn't get married. So we got remarried in 2017. So I've been married twice. There you go. So I thought that was a fun one. My sister, hi Classy, today went to Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. And yes, she bought me some yarn. So I'm so excited about that. The last 2 things that are coming up, I'm going to podcast before these things. At least I hope to. I really, really hope to. Don't, I shouldn't commit to that. But I'm going to try. Are the XOXO Fiber Fest. It's not really a festival. It's a small sort of market, but it has lots of fiber goodness and lots of different crafters. It's in North Vancouver, and I do believe it's June 7th, and it's called XOXO Fiber. So if you're in the Lower Mainland, you might want to check that out. And June 14th is Knit in Public Day. So me and my knitting besties are going to go to, I think we were discussing if it's really nice weather, going to Stewart's Farm and having a picnic and sitting outside. If it's not nice weather, because June is always a little bit of a gong show, we'll have to choose somewhere else. And the last thing that I have to share with you in the chatter portion of today is a huge thank you and a hug to Carol from A Stitch in Time. So Carol also sold her house and moved, downsizing. So Carol, I understand all of it. But Carol had a beautiful gift away. If you have not watched her podcast, please take a look at it, especially if you're a sock knitter. A Stitch in Time, Carol did a whole section of fashion shows for Helen Stewart's Handmade Sock Society collection. And both her and I share this, but she's made them all. I haven't made them all. And she might not have made all of them, but she's made a good portion of them. And then she displayed them as collections, which was wonderful. And so she has gifted her viewers, random selection, a few of her viewers, season 6 of the Handmade Sock Society. And I was one of the lucky winners. So I was tickled about that. So if you have not ever seen these, maybe I'll channel Carol a little bit and do a little bit of a expose of the collections. But really, really nice sock patterns. Most of them are a little bit more detailed, like with a little bit more lace or cabling. There's no vanilla socks that I'm aware of. But they are all very, very lovely, and I'm so thrilled. Carol, thank you so much for the opportunity, number one, and for your generosity. I mean, that takes a lot. So I think that is lovely, lovely, and I cannot wait to start one of them when I can do more than just stockinette. So, okay, folks, so on that note, I will leave you. I just want to thank you so much for spending the time with me. Thank you for being patient as I took a little bit of a break. And again, I'm probably only going to be able to podcast monthly for a while, but I absolutely look forward to spending time with you again. So until then, have a good morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are. And I hope I kept you company while you crafted. Take care, everyone. Talk to you soon.